I slept alone, and when I woke up, I was married to an extraterrestrial queen. That evening, he returned to his small apartment after a long day at the city's tech lab. His apartment smelled faintly of coffee, and the warm hum of his computer reminded him that life was safe, predictable, and comfortably boring. He yawned, poured himself a glass of water, and prepared to sleep, unaware that tonight would be unlike any other. He lay down on his bed, thinking of the presentation he had to deliver the next day. His eyelids grew heavy, and soon sleep claimed him. But this was not ordinary sleep. It felt deeper, richer, and heavier than any rest he had known. The world around him seemed to dissolve, and a strange warmth enveloped him, like floating in a calm, invisible sea. When Daniel opened his eyes again, he expected to see the familiar ceiling of his apartment. Instead, he saw golden light stretching in every direction. The walls shimmered with colors he could not name. The air smelled faintly sweet, and soft, melodic sounds floated through the space. His heart raced as he sat up. This was not his bedroom, not his building, not Earth or anything he recognized. "Where am I?" he whispered, his voice trembling. His words sounded strange in this place, as if the very air carried them differently. The light seemed to pulse softly in response, like it was alive. Footsteps echoed behind him. Daniel turned quickly. A tall figure appeared, dressed in robes that glittered with light unlike any fabric he had ever seen. Its skin had a gentle glow, and its eyes were large, calm, and intelligent. The being bowed slightly. "Royal consort," the being said. Its voice was musical, soothing, yet carried a strength Daniel could feel deep in his chest. "The Queen requests your presence." "Royal what?" Daniel stammered, his voice cracking. I think there is some mistake. I'm just me. I'm Daniel. I'm human. I don't belong here." His words came out in a rush, a flood of fear and disbelief. The being inclined its head, as if expecting his confusion. "It is no mistake. Please come." Daniel felt a strange pull, as though his body obeyed a command stronger than his own will. He followed the figure through vast halls that gleamed like liquid metal, filled with light that seemed to move like a gentle river. Every step felt surreal. He touched the walls lightly, half expecting them to be cold, but instead they were warm and smooth. The soft glow reflected in his wide eyes. Finally, they arrived at an enormous chamber. The doors were taller than his apartment building, carved with patterns that seemed to shift and shimmer, forming shapes of stars, planets, and things he couldn't name. And there at the far end of the hall stood the Queen. Daniel froze. She was magnificent, taller than any human, with hair like flowing silver strands of light and eyes that glowed softly, deep and calm, as if she could see everything, past, present, and future. Her presence was commanding, yet somehow gentle, like a wave that could overwhelm you but chose to lift you instead. "Daniel," she said, her voice like music, "do not fear. You are safe. You are here for a reason, though it may not yet make sense." Daniel's knees felt weak. I don't understand. Why am I here? Who are you?" His words spilled out, anxious and unsteady. "I am Sarilith, Queen of the Luminaris Empire," she said, stepping closer. "And you are my consort." Daniel blinked. The words barely registered. "Consort, you mean married." "Married to you." His mind raced. This was impossible. He had never even met another human in a romantic way seriously, let alone an alien queen from some distant star system. "Yes," she said simply. "It happened when the cosmic alignment bound our worlds together. Your presence here fulfills an ancient ritual meant to protect both our species." Daniel took a step back, feeling dizzy. I slept alone, and now I'm married to an alien." He laughed nervously, the sound shaky. He wanted to wake up, wanted to find himself back in his apartment, in his bed, with the familiar hum of his computer and the smell of coffee. But the palace, the queen, the attendants, they were all real. His mind refused to accept it. Sarilith tilted her head slightly, her expression serene. "I understand your confusion. You are human. This is not what you expected, But fear not, Daniel, nothing will be forced upon you. You are free to choose even now." Her words were kind, yet carried authority. The attendants behind her bowed deeply. Their faces were serene and expressionless, but their eyes held intelligence and curiosity. Daniel realized that they were not threatening. They were respectful, protective, and entirely devoted to the queen. The realization both reassured and intimidated him. Daniel's thoughts spun. But why me? There are billions of humans on Earth. Why would you choose me? His voice was small, almost lost in the vast chamber. The queen's gaze softened. It was not a choice made by whim. Humans have something rare in the galaxy: perseverance, creativity, courage in the face of uncertainty. Your species has traits that the universe itself has observed and admired. The ritual required a human. You were awake. You were present. You were ready. Daniel's mind reeled. Ready? I barely get through my workdays ready. I don't know anything about ruling an empire or cosmic rituals or anything like that. Sarilith smiled, a gentle, radiant smile. That is why you are human. Because you bring perspective, courage, and a will that does not bend easily. You have the chance to show the galaxy that humans are more than fragile beings. Daniel swallowed hard. He felt a strange mix of fear, awe, and something he couldn't name. Could he do this? Could a simple human, someone who barely managed a normal life, truly make a difference in a galaxy he had only dreamed about in movies and books? His mind screamed at him to resist, to demand answers, to find a way back. But something inside him stirred, a spark of curiosity, a tiny flicker of courage. He took a hesitant step forward. What happens now?" he asked, his voice firmer than before. Sarilith gestured gracefully, and the chamber's walls shifted, revealing a panoramic view of stars, galaxies, and swirling cosmic clouds. "Now you learn, you understand, and perhaps you choose whether you will be a part of something greater than yourself. Your presence here can bring hope to billions. You can make the impossible possible." Daniel stared at the stars, feeling both small and infinitely important. The vastness of space seemed to press on him, but the queen's presence was a steadying force. He realized that his life, as ordinary as it had been, had changed forever. And somehow, deep in his heart, he felt ready to face whatever came next, even if he still didn't fully understand it. The attendant stepped forward, guiding him to a place of comfort in the chamber. Soft cushions, warm light, and calm music filled the space. Daniel sat, trying to process everything: the palace, the stars, the queen, the inexplicable feeling that he belonged here. For the first time, he wondered if perhaps this was not a nightmare, but the beginning of an adventure beyond anything he had ever imagined. Sarilith watched him, her expression unreadable yet filled with patience. "Rest for now, Daniel. Tomorrow you will see the empire, meet its people, and understand the responsibilities that come with this bond. But tonight, let your mind accept what it must. Fear is natural, but courage is what makes humans extraordinary." Daniel nodded slowly, unsure if he could find courage in the midst of such impossibility. But as he looked out at the stars, he felt a strange calm wash over him. For the first time, he felt that maybe, just maybe, he could rise to meet this challenge. Maybe, just maybe, humans were more capable than even he had believed. And so, in a palace among the stars with a queen who spoke of courage, hope, and responsibility, Daniel closed his eyes once more. He slept, this time not just as a human in a small apartment, but as a part of something vast, impossible, and extraordinary. A part of a story that was only just beginning. Daniel woke the next morning to a soft, golden light streaming into the chamber. The air smelled faintly of flowers he had never seen before, and a soft hum of energy surrounded him, as if the palace itself were alive. He blinked slowly, still trying to process that he was not in his apartment, not on Earth, but somewhere entirely different, a palace among the stars. The events of the previous night played repeatedly in his mind, leaving him both amazed and terrified. A gentle knock echoed through the chamber. "Royal consort," a soft voice called. Daniel recognized it immediately. It was one of the attendants, the glowing figure who had guided him yesterday. "Queen Sarilith requests your presence in the council hall." Daniel sat up, rubbing his eyes. "Council hall," he muttered to himself. His life had gone from ordinary to extraordinary overnight, and he felt like a child suddenly thrown into an ocean. Yet, despite the fear, a spark of curiosity pulled him forward. He nodded and rose, following the attendant through corridors that seemed to glow softly under his footsteps. As they walked, Daniel noticed the strange architecture of the palace. The walls curved in ways that made no sense to him, yet felt natural. Lights floated like gentle fireflies, illuminating halls filled with murals of alien worlds, battles, and moments of peace. Everything he saw was advanced yet elegant, and Daniel felt a thrill he could not describe. His mind struggled to comprehend it all, but a part of him could not stop marveling. Finally, they arrived at the council hall, a vast chamber with a ceiling that stretched beyond sight. Figures of all shapes and sizes, each from different parts of the galaxy, were already seated in a semicircle. They were alien, yet none seemed threatening. Some had wings, some glowed softly, and others had multiple limbs. Daniel realized that this was not just a palace, it was the heart of an empire, the center of a civilization spanning thousands of star systems. Sarilith was seated at the head of the chamber, regal and calm as ever. "Daniel," she said, her voice carrying through the hall. "Today, you will see the empire you are now connected to. You will meet those who serve and protect it, and you will understand the importance of the bond we share." Daniel swallowed hard. His heart raced, but he straightened his back and tried to look confident. I'll try," he said, his voice small but steady. The queen's attendants guided Daniel to a seat beside her. As he sat, he noticed the other members of the council staring curiously at him. Whispers floated through the room, voices in languages Daniel could not understand. Some looked skeptical, others intrigued. He felt a wave of self-consciousness. He was just a human, a simple engineer from a small city on Earth. How could he possibly matter to these powerful beings? Sarilith's gaze met his, calm and unwavering. "Do not fear their judgment," she said softly. "Your species has a strength you do not yet understand. Observe, listen, and you will see why you are here." The council began to speak. Daniel could not follow most of the alien languages, but Sarilith translated key points for him. He learned that the Empire faced a serious threat. A coalition of rival civilizations sought to conquer or destroy entire systems under Luminaris control. This marriage, unusual as it seemed, was part of an ancient tradition. Bonding with a human would secure Earth's position in the alliance and symbolize unity across species. Daniel's mind spun. "So, I'm a symbol?" he asked quietly. Sarilith nodded. "In part, but symbols are only as strong as those who embody them. You are more than a symbol, Daniel. You are a representative of humanity's courage, ingenuity, and persistence. That is why you were chosen." Daniel shook his head, trying to make sense of everything. I'm just a regular guy. I fix machines. I don't know anything about ruling an empire or anything like this." The queen's smile was gentle. "That is precisely why you are perfect. Human perspectives are unique. You approach problems differently. You persevere when others might give up. That is a rare and valuable trait in the galaxy." The council murmured among themselves, some nodding in agreement, others exchanging doubtful glances. Daniel realized they were uncertain about humans. Earth was new to the galaxy. Humans had never ventured far beyond their planet, and many species underestimated them. This was his first challenge, to show that humanity could be trusted, that they were capable of courage and wisdom. The rest of the day was spent in a whirlwind of introductions, lessons, and explanations. Daniel met scientists, strategists, and diplomats from across the empire. Each encounter was overwhelming, yet fascinating. He observed their technology, machines that seemed to think on their own, energy shields that glimmered like liquid, and devices that could communicate instantly across light years. But beyond the technology, what struck him most was the diversity of the Empire's people. They were different, yet they shared a sense of unity, respect, and purpose. During a break, Daniel found himself on a balcony overlooking the stars. He stared in awe at the swirling galaxies, feeling both small and significant. Sarilith appeared beside him, her presence calm and reassuring. "You are thinking of Earth," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "I can't help it. All of this is incredible, but I worry. What if I fail? What if humans disappoint you or the Empire?" Sarilith placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Fear is natural, but courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act despite it. You are not alone, Daniel. I will guide you and you will have allies. Trust yourself and trust humanity. You have potential that even you do not yet know." Her words gave him a strange sense of calm. For the first time, he felt that perhaps he could rise to the challenge. Perhaps humanity really could be more than what others believed. Later, he joined Sarilith for a private meal in the palace's grand dining hall. The food was unlike anything he had tasted, vibrant, fresh, and almost alive with energy. He marveled at the flavors and textures, realizing that even in this alien world, some pleasures were universal. Sarilith watched him quietly, as if reading his thoughts. "You may feel unprepared," she said, "but every step you take will teach you. The universe is vast, but it values courage, curiosity, and heart. That is why humans are rare. That is why you are rare." Daniel laughed nervously. "I'm just a human, I don't feel rare." "Perhaps not yet," she said, smiling. "But in time you will see. Your actions will speak louder than any words. Even now, by simply being here, you have begun to change the galaxy's perception of your species." As the day turned into night, Daniel realized that this life, as strange and terrifying as it was, also held wonder. He was learning, growing, and seeing possibilities he had never imagined. Yet he could not shake a sense of unease. The Empire faced threats, and he was a small part of something enormous. What if he made a mistake? What if humanity failed when it mattered most? Sarilith seemed to sense his worries. "The weight of responsibility can feel heavy," she said, "but do not carry it alone. Learn from others, trust your instincts, and remember, humans are stronger than you realize. You will see." That night, as Daniel lay in a soft, glowing chamber, he thought of Earth. He thought of his small apartment, his quiet routines, and the life he had known. It felt distant, almost unreal compared to the palace, the stars, and the Queen. Yet a part of him understood that leaving Earth behind did not mean abandoning it. This was a chance to show that humans could rise, to prove that courage and determination could shine across galaxies. Sleep came again, deep and dreamless, carrying with it a strange sense of anticipation. Daniel felt that tomorrow would bring new challenges, lessons, and opportunities. He did not yet know what was waiting, but a small flame of determination burned in his chest. He would learn. He would adapt. And perhaps, just perhaps, he would show the galaxy that humans were worthy of respect, trust, and admiration. For the first time since waking in the palace, Daniel felt ready to face the impossible. He was no longer just an ordinary engineer from Earth. He was part of something much greater, an adventure that would test his courage, his intelligence, and his heart. And deep down, he could not wait to begin. Daniel woke to a soft, shimmering light that danced across the walls of his chamber. He stretched and sat up, trying to ignore the weight of the day before. The overwhelming meetings, the introductions to alien dignitaries, and the strange realization that he was now part of a galaxy-spanning empire. He felt excitement mingled with fear, like a child standing at the edge of a vast ocean, unsure if he could swim. An attendant appeared at the doorway, glowing faintly, and bowed. "Royal consort, the Queen requests your presence." Today you will visit the heart of the empire and meet those who depend on your courage and wisdom." Daniel took a deep breath. Courage, wisdom, words he had never used to describe himself, yet here they were, expected of him. He nodded and followed the attendant through corridors that seemed alive with energy. Walls shimmered like liquid glass and soft lights pulsed gently, as if the palace itself were breathing. As they moved, Daniel's thoughts wandered. How could a human like him make any difference in an empire so vast, with species that had existed for thousands of years in the galaxy? He thought of Earth, his small city, the quiet nights, and the people who had no idea what was happening beyond their sky. Could they ever imagine that a human was now a symbol of courage and hope in an alien civilization? Finally, they arrived at a massive observation deck. Below, the city of the Luminaris capital spread like a sea of light, glittering in colors Daniel had never seen. Towers stretched into the sky, shaped in ways that seemed impossible yet elegant. Vehicles moved through the air and along the ground with fluid motion, guided by invisible forces. Daniel's mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. "You see the Empire," Sarilith said, appearing beside him silently. Her voice was calm, carrying warmth and authority at the same time. "Everything you see, every life below, depends on unity, courage, and careful choices. Today, you will meet some of the people who make it work. They will teach you, and you will teach them in return." Daniel nodded slowly. He wanted to say something clever, but the words felt small compared to the grandeur before him. Instead, he took a deep breath and followed her down a spiraling staircase that led into the heart of the city. The streets below were alive with activity. Citizens of all shapes and sizes moved with purpose, some carrying strange tools, others guiding massive vehicles. Daniel marveled at the diversity. Winged beings soared above, glowing creatures moved gracefully along transparent pathways, and humanoids with extra limbs navigated the crowd with ease. The energy of the city was infectious. "Observe and learn," Sarilith said. "This is the spirit of the Luminaris Empire. Every individual matters, but so does the bond between them. That bond is what makes us strong." Daniel nodded. He tried to take it all in, the sights, the sounds, the feeling of life moving around him. He realized that in this empire, every action mattered. Even the smallest choice could affect millions of lives. Their first stop was a workshop filled with beings from different species working together on a complex project. Machines floated in the air, guided by unseen forces. Beams of light connected various components, and holographic screens displayed patterns of energy that shifted constantly. Daniel's heart raced as he tried to understand what was happening. One of the beings, a tall figure with translucent skin and glowing veins, noticed him. "Royal consort," it said in a melodic voice. "Your presence honors us." Daniel bowed awkwardly. I'm just trying to learn," he said. The being smiled. "Learning is courage, human. Courage is what we need now more than ever. Perhaps your species has lessons for us as well." Daniel felt a spark of pride. Even in his uncertainty, the beings recognized the potential of humans. He realized that his role was not to act as a ruler yet, but to inspire confidence, to show that humanity could contribute something valuable to the empire. Throughout the day, Daniel visited many parts of the city: the communication hub where messages were sent across light years, the Defense Command Center where strategies were planned to protect thousands of systems, and even the energy cores that powered entire regions of the capital. In each place he observed, asked questions, and shared ideas. At first, the other beings were skeptical. Could a human with no experience in interstellar politics or advanced technology really help? But Daniel's curiosity and determination began to change their opinions. He suggested small improvements to energy distribution that saved time and resources. He noticed patterns in strategy plans that even advanced algorithms had overlooked. He shared stories of human problem-solving, of persistence in the face of failure, of inventiveness born from necessity. Slowly, the council members and citizens began to see that humans, though inexperienced, had a unique way of thinking that was valuable. By midday, Daniel felt exhausted but energized. He realized that proving humanity's worth would not be easy, but it was possible. He had never felt more alive. As the sun, or what passed for a sun in this system, began to set, Sarilith took Daniel to a quiet garden at the top of a tower. The garden glowed softly with bioluminescent plants, and water flowed gently through channels that seemed to float above the ground. The air smelled sweet and calming. "You are learning quickly," Sarilith said, her voice gentle. "The Empire has faced many threats, but they have never faced one like the uncertainty of a new species. That is why your presence is vital. The galaxy will judge humans by your actions." Daniel looked at her, a mix of awe and worry in his eyes. I don't want to let anyone down, I don't want to fail." Sarilith smiled. "Humans fear failure because you care deeply. That is also your strength. The courage to try to act despite fear is what inspires others. Today, you have already begun to prove that humanity has value." He nodded slowly, feeling a warmth of confidence he had never known. Perhaps he could do this. Perhaps humans really could make a difference in the galaxy. Suddenly, alarms echoed across the city. Lights flashed red and a deep vibration shook the tower. Daniel felt his heart race. What's happening?" he asked. Sarilith's expression turned serious. "An enemy fleet has entered the outer systems. They test our borders, we must respond carefully. This is your first real challenge." Daniel's mind raced. "But I'm just a human. I don't know how to fight a fleet or lead soldiers or—" "You have already learned what you need," Sarilith interrupted. "Strategy, courage, and the ability to inspire others. That is what makes humans powerful. Watch, learn, and when the time comes, you will act." The next hours were intense. Daniel observed the Empire's fleet through a massive holographic display. He saw thousands of ships moving in perfect formation, energy beams flowing like rivers of light, and forces coordinating across vast distances. Every decision mattered. Every mistake could cost lives. Yet as he watched, he began to notice patterns. Small oversights, gaps in energy shields, weaknesses in enemy formation. He pointed them out to Sarilith and her council. At first, some were skeptical, but when his observations proved accurate, their respect grew. They realized that humans, with their curiosity and attention to detail, could notice things others overlooked. By the end of the day, the enemy fleet had been repelled without a single casualty in the capital. Daniel's observations and suggestions had played a crucial role. The council praised him, and citizens who had doubted humanity now looked at him with newfound respect. That night, Daniel returned to his chamber, exhausted but proud. He thought of Earth, of his simple life, and realized that he had changed. He was no longer just a human from a small city. He was a representative of his species, a symbol of courage, and a living example that even one human could make a difference in a galaxy filled with powerful civilizations. Sarilith appeared beside him quietly. "You have done well today," she said softly. "You see now why you were chosen. Humanity has potential that even you cannot yet measure. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but you are ready." Daniel smiled, feeling a mixture of relief, pride, and determination. He knew the path ahead would be difficult, but he also knew that he had found his place. He was not just a visitor in the Empire, he was part of it, and he would do everything in his power to ensure that humanity's spirit shone brightly among the stars. As he lay down to sleep, he looked out at the galaxy once more. The stars seemed closer, brighter, and filled with possibility. Daniel felt a deep sense of hope. He had learned that courage, curiosity, and determination could inspire even the most advanced civilizations. And he knew that humanity had a role to play in shaping the future of the galaxy. For the first time, Daniel felt that he was not just surviving, he was thriving. And the adventure, the challenge, and the opportunity to prove humanity's worth had only just begun. The day began with a heavy, tense energy in the palace. Daniel awoke to the low hum of alarms and distant vibrations, signaling that the enemy fleet had returned, stronger and more organized than before. This was no longer a simple test of observation. This was a real threat to the Luminaris Empire. Ships from rival civilizations approached the outer systems, their numbers immense, their intentions clear: conquer or destroy. Daniel sat up in his chamber, his heart pounding. For the first time, fear and responsibility collided within him. He was still a human, a visitor in a galaxy filled with species far older and stronger than his own. And yet, yesterday had taught him that humans had something unique: the courage to act, the ingenuity to solve problems, and the ability to inspire others. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Sarilith entered quietly, her presence calm but commanding. "Daniel," she said, her voice steady, "the Council has prepared a defense plan, but your insights yesterday proved invaluable. Today, you will help guide our response. Your observations will shape our strategy." Daniel took a deep breath. I'll do my best," he said, his voice firm despite the rapid beat of his heart. They entered the strategy room, a vast chamber filled with holographic displays, models of star systems, and real-time projections of fleets in motion. Beings of every shape and size gathered, their expressions tense. Daniel felt the weight of responsibility settle over him like a cloak. Every suggestion, every calculation could save countless lives. Sarilith gestured to him. "You will observe, advise, and contribute. Do not underestimate your abilities. Humanity's creativity is unmatched in the galaxy. Trust yourself." Daniel nodded and approached one of the holographic displays. The enemy fleet was vast, with ships moving in coordinated patterns, testing the Empire's defenses. Daniel studied their formation, searching for weaknesses, patterns, anything that could give the Luminaris a strategic advantage. He noticed something others had missed: a small but crucial gap in the formation, a flaw that could be exploited without risking lives. "If we deploy a diversionary fleet here," he suggested, pointing to the gap, "it could confuse their formation, giving our main fleet the opportunity to strengthen our defenses." The council murmured, some skeptical, others curious. "A human proposes a tactical maneuver," one alien questioned, its voice sharp. Daniel swallowed his fear. "It may work. The enemy expects us to react predictably. If we act differently, we can gain an advantage without unnecessary conflict." Sarilith nodded. "Implement it. Trust his judgment." The council hesitated, then followed the Queen's command. Daniel held his breath as the maneuver began. Holographic ships moved according to his suggestion, weaving through the projection of space. Slowly, the enemy fleet's formation faltered. The Luminaris ships seized the advantage, reinforcing vulnerable areas and neutralizing threats efficiently. Daniel exhaled in relief. It worked. The council members who had doubted him now regarded him with a mixture of respect and awe. One elder diplomat, a being with translucent wings, bowed slightly. "Your perspective is remarkable, human. You see what others do not." Daniel felt a surge of pride. This was more than observation, this was real impact. Humanity, through him, had begun to prove its value. The battle escalated. The enemy fleet was clever, adjusting its strategy, but the Luminaris forces, guided by Daniel's insights, remained resilient. Energy beams streaked through space, shields shimmered as they absorbed attacks, and ships maneuvered with precision. Daniel noticed another pattern. The enemy relied heavily on their fastest ships to disrupt supply lines. "If we focus on their speed ships first," he suggested, "we can limit their ability to coordinate without attacking their main force." The council implemented his suggestion, and the plan succeeded. The enemy's coordination faltered, giving the Luminaris fleet time to strengthen positions and protect critical systems. Daniel's heart raced as he saw the results unfold in real time. He realized that even a single human mind, observing and thinking differently, could influence the outcome of an interstellar battle. Hours passed in a tense blur. Daniel worked alongside the council, guiding decisions, suggesting strategies, and learning quickly from their experience. He began to understand the flow of interstellar warfare, the importance of timing, and the value of unconventional thinking. At one point, Sarilith approached him quietly. "You have done well," she said. "Your instincts, your courage, and your creativity have saved countless lives, but this is only the beginning. The galaxy will continue to test humanity, and you must be ready for more challenges." Daniel nodded, his mind racing with both excitement and determination. He felt a deep sense of responsibility, but also a growing confidence. He was not alone. The Luminaris, their citizens, and even the other council members now saw that humans could contribute meaningfully to the Empire's survival. As the battle reached its climax, the enemy fleet attempted a concentrated attack on the capital's energy core. Daniel noticed a pattern in their movements, a predictable rhythm. "If we reinforce the outer shields in a rotating pattern," he suggested, "we can absorb the impact and minimize damage." The council hesitated, but Sarilith nodded. "Do it." The shields shifted, rotating in perfect synchronization. The enemy's attack struck, but the damage was minimal. The capital's defenses held, and the enemy fleet began to retreat, recognizing that their strategy had failed. Daniel felt a surge of relief and pride. Humanity, through him, had played a crucial role in protecting the Empire. After the battle, the council gathered in the strategy room to assess the outcome. The enemy had been repelled with minimal losses, and the Empire had gained valuable intelligence about future threats. Daniel stood beside Sarilith, exhausted but elated. "You have done more than survive," Sarilith said softly. "You have contributed. You have shown that humanity is capable of courage, insight, and leadership. Today, you prove that even one human can influence the fate of galaxies." The council members nodded in agreement. Some approached Daniel, offering words of respect and gratitude. He felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had done what he never imagined possible. He had helped save an empire. That evening, Daniel returned to his chamber, weary but exhilarated. He thought of Earth, of the life he had left behind, and realized that he had changed. He was no longer just an ordinary human. He was a symbol of courage, a living example of humanity's potential. Sarilith appeared beside him, her expression calm and warm. "Rest, Daniel," she said. "Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but tonight, celebrate what you have achieved. You have proven that humanity has a place in the galaxy, and that is a triumph worth remembering." Daniel smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. He had faced the trial of unity, guided an empire through battle, and shown that humans, though small in number, could make a difference in the vastness of space. He realized that courage, creativity, and determination were not limited by species. They were qualities that could shine in any being willing to act. As he lay down to sleep, he looked out at the stars once more. The galaxy seemed vast, mysterious, and full of challenges, but also full of possibility. Daniel knew that he had a role to play, not just as Sarilith's consort, but as a representative of humanity. His actions had already inspired others, and he felt a deep sense of purpose. For the first time, Daniel understood that being human was not a limitation, it was a strength. He had learned that courage, ingenuity, and determination could influence even the most advanced civilizations. And he knew that the trials ahead, though difficult, would only strengthen him and humanity further. As sleep claimed him, Daniel felt a quiet resolve settle in his chest. The galaxy had tested him, and he had risen. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he was ready. He was no longer just a visitor. He was a part of something greater, a living testament to the potential of humanity. And in that quiet moment, As the stars twinkled beyond the palace walls, Daniel realized that he had finally embraced his place in the universe. He was human. He was courageous, and he would continue to prove that even the smallest heart could change the course of galaxies. Daniel awoke to a quiet morning. The palace felt calm for the first time in weeks. The threat of the enemy fleet had passed, their forces scattered, and the Empire had regained a sense of security. Yet, despite the peace, Daniel's heart still raced with anticipation. Today, he would see the results of all he had done, not just for himself but for humanity. Sarilith appeared at the doorway, radiant as always, her expression both calm and thoughtful. "Daniel," she said softly, "today the Council will convene to discuss the future. Your actions have changed how the galaxy sees humans. Your courage has inspired not only the Empire but countless civilizations. You will witness the results of your efforts." Daniel rose, feeling a mixture of pride and nervousness. He had never imagined that a simple human like him could influence entire civilizations. Yet here he was, standing beside an alien queen in a palace among the stars, representing Earth to beings across galaxies. The council hall was alive with anticipation. Aliens from all corners of the Empire gathered, their expressions a mix of respect, curiosity, and hope. They had seen Daniel's ingenuity, his courage in the face of danger, and his ability to inspire others. Today, they would decide the place humanity would occupy in the galaxy. Sarilith motioned for Daniel to stand beside her at the front of the chamber. "Council members," she began, her voice calm yet commanding, "humanity has proven its courage, creativity, and perseverance. Daniel's actions have shown that even a single human can influence the fate of worlds. It is now time to recognize the role of Earth and its people in the galaxy." Whispers echoed through the hall. Many aliens had doubted humans before, believing them fragile, inexperienced, or insignificant. But Daniel had proven otherwise. He had guided the Empire through critical moments, inspired trust, and shown that humanity could contribute to strategies that protected billions of lives. One elder diplomat, a being with translucent wings and shimmering scales, stepped forward. "Queen Sarilith, humans have shown remarkable insight. They have courage that exceeds expectations, creativity that rivals centuries of experience, and the determination to act when it matters most. It is clear that humanity deserves a place of respect among the stars." A murmur of agreement swept through the chamber. Daniel's chest swelled with pride, but he remained humble. He knew this was not just about him. It was about all of humanity. The small planet Earth, once unnoticed in the vast galaxy, was now being recognized for its potential. Sarilith turned to Daniel, her eyes soft yet powerful. "Daniel, the Council has reached a decision. They wish to formally recognize Earth as a valued member of the Luminaris Alliance. Your actions have paved the way for humanity's acceptance. But more importantly, they have proven that courage and wisdom can come from any being, regardless of size, species, or experience." Daniel felt a lump in his throat. This was more than he had ever hoped for. Earth's place in the galaxy had been uncertain, its potential untested. Now, because of his courage and humanity's spirit, the world he had grown up on would be respected among civilizations that span light years. The council erupted in applause, their approval echoing through the chamber. Daniel looked at Sarilith, who smiled warmly, a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had shared. He realized that his bond with her was no longer about ritual or obligation. It was built on mutual respect, trust, and a shared commitment to something greater than themselves. After the council's formal recognition, Sarilith led Daniel to a quiet chamber overlooking the stars. The battle was over, the galaxy had acknowledged humanity, and yet a personal decision awaited him. Sarilith's expression was gentle, but her eyes were serious. "Daniel," she said, "the choice is yours. You are free to return to Earth if you wish. Nothing will bind you against your will. but you have also shown courage, insight, and loyalty. If you choose to stay, you will not be bound by ritual. You will be my partner, my equal, and the ambassador of humanity within this empire." Daniel's mind raced. He thought of Earth, of his home, of the quiet life he had known. Yet he also thought of the empire, the people he had met, the battles he had helped navigate, and the trust he had built. Returning to Earth would mean comfort and familiarity, but staying meant purpose, growth, and the chance to inspire galaxies. He looked into Sarilith's eyes and saw not command but trust. He realized that his place was here, not because he was forced, but because he wanted to contribute, to lead, and to show that humanity's courage could shine among the stars. "I'll stay," he said quietly but firmly. "Not because I have to, but because I want to, because humanity has something to give and I want to help share it." Sarilith smiled, a soft glow radiating from her presence. "Then together we will guide the empire and humanity forward. The galaxy will see that even the smallest heart can inspire change." The days that followed were filled with new responsibilities and exciting challenges. Daniel worked alongside the council, sharing human strategies, ideas, and innovations. He introduced concepts from Earth, teamwork, improvisation, and creativity, that even the most advanced civilizations had not considered. Slowly, humans became known throughout the empire as a species of thinkers, problem solvers, and courageous spirits. Beyond strategy and politics, Daniel also explored the culture, technology, and daily life of the Luminaris citizens. He learned to operate advanced machinery, communicate across vast distances instantly, and understand the nuances of interstellar diplomacy. Despite the challenges, he felt alive, purposeful, and proud. One evening, Sarilith and Daniel stood on the palace balcony, gazing at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, filled with unknown worlds, civilizations, and possibilities. "Daniel," Sarilith said, "you have shown humanity's strength, not through weapons or force, but through courage, intelligence, and heart. You have inspired hope, and hope is the greatest power in the universe." Daniel smiled, feeling a quiet pride. "I never imagined I could do any of this, but I've learned something important. Humans may be small, but we have something that matters: resilience, creativity, and the will to act when it counts. That can make all the difference." Sarilith nodded, her expression softening. "And now, humanity will have a place in the stars, not as conquerors but as partners, allies, and friends. All because one human had the courage to step forward." Daniel felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He thought of Earth, of the people who would never know the impact of his actions, and he hoped that someday humanity would understand the role they had played in the galaxy. He realized that being human was not a limitation, it was a strength. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Daniel continued to work alongside the council and Sarilith, guiding the empire through smaller conflicts, negotiations, and explorations. Humans began to travel across star systems, sharing knowledge, building alliances, and inspiring hope. Earth was no longer just a distant, unnoticed planet. It was a valued member of a vast, interconnected galaxy. Through it all, Daniel and Sarilith's bond grew stronger. It was not a bond of obligation, but of respect, trust, and shared purpose. Together, they led the empire and humanity into a new era where cooperation, courage, and creativity defined the future. One night, Daniel stood on the balcony alone, gazing at the stars. He thought of the journey he had taken, from a quiet apartment on Earth to the heart of a galactic empire, from fear and doubt to courage and purpose. He realized that the impossible had become possible, not because of power or luck, but because of humanity's spirit, the same spirit that allowed a single human to inspire civilizations. Sarilith joined him silently, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "The galaxy is vast, Daniel," she said, "and there will be challenges ahead. But together, we have proven that courage, intelligence, and heart can change the course of history." Daniel nodded, feeling a deep sense of peace. He had found his place, not just in the Empire but in the universe. He was human, he was courageous, and he had shown that even one small heart could leave a mark on the stars. As they stood together, watching distant galaxies shimmer in the darkness, Daniel realized that this was only the beginning. Humanity had a future among the stars, and he would help guide it with courage, wisdom, and hope. The stars stretched endlessly before them, filled with possibility. And Daniel, once an ordinary human from a quiet city on Earth, now stood as a symbol of what humanity could achieve, a living testament that courage, creativity, and determination could inspire the galaxy. And for the first time in his life, Daniel felt that he truly belonged, not just to the Empire, not just to Sarilith, but to the universe itself. Together, they would face the future, united, and prove that even the smallest, most ordinary beings could achieve the extraordinary.